and welcome to Oz by Drone, everyone. I'm Greg, and he is definitely not John. John's not here today, guys. Apologies for that. He's not here, and we've got someone else filling in for him. But before we do anything, we definitely need to clear that music out of his headphones and go to shot B2. Otherwise, he can't hear anything. There we go. So, hello and welcome. This is Oz by Drone. John is in a remote place in Darwin today, and he apologises for being unable to come here in person, so apologies for that. But we've got lots of great stuff today, and we were going to have Coldflake as our guest, the guy who created NoLimitDronez. But similarly to John, he had something come up, something of a non-technical nature, personal issue that came up, and that's prevented him from coming today. So with all of that kind of stuff happening, we had a fill-in guest coming in today. I've been chatting to you, Adam, off and on. And hello and welcome.
Greg. Hey, guys. Thanks, eh?
Yeah. So, Adam, you've been watching for a little while?
Yeah, been following the channel for a while, but really been getting into the drones lately and been a big hobby of mine for probably a couple of years now, but been into RC all of my life.
Okay. Okay, well, we're going to chat to you a little bit more a little bit later. So before we do anything, a couple of quick things. There's a competition today. We're going to be giving away a license to NoLimitDronez. It's a piece of software that can modify and tweak and do all sorts of stuff if you've got a DJI drone. But you need to do something now to get ready for the competition later. So if you want to win, you need to go onto the social media platform of your choice, and you need to put any post about NoLimitDronez.com, their domain name, and I'll just go to a chat window, which I did have open, but I closed it. And I'll put that in the chat. And you need to do any post that mentions NoLimitDronez.com. And once you've done that, you are eligible to be in the competition. Let me just type it in. There we go. So any social media post, doesn't matter if it's Facebook, Twitter, or anything you like, any social media post anywhere, I'm checking out NoLimitDronez or whatever it is that you want to say, and you can win that a little bit later today. Don't just put it in the chat here. That's nice. You can type it in there, but it's more important that you share it somewhere else. The reason why it's important, NoLimitDronez are going to be sponsoring us. We're going to be giving away one of these licenses on a semi-regular basis. So I want you to go and help. Yeah, it's a great thing that they're doing for us. But I need you to help them as well. And by sharing their application, their story, that's a really good thing for them as well. Okay, now back to things here. I've got the NoLimitDronez one, and I've got one other thing before we get into the official news. And that is, I want to have a chat to you a little bit about the reports of DJI opening a manufacturing plant in the United States. Have you heard about that one at all?
No, I haven't actually heard anything about that. That's very interesting.
So the story is, of course, our friend Mr. Trump over there is saying we don't want drones coming into the United States being sold to the government for government use if these drones are, talking back to China. He's talking back to China. I don't know if I've got the accent right.
I did hear about the government edition, which was, the information came out earlier this week, I think, where they are basically locked through DJI Pilot. You are able to, they have their own unlocking mechanism, so you don't actually need to connect directly to any of the DJI servers. This is the information that I know, just from reading some posts and that have been online this week. But I know they have their own direct affiliate link where you can actually watch a video that they've released on the government edition.
Yeah, I did have that video. I did have that video, and I deliberately didn't play it today because I think everyone's seen it. But here's where I want to go with this. If you're a government agency in the US and you're trying to prevent bad things, what do you really need to do? Do you need to have the drone manufactured in the US? Maybe, but probably not. It's not the hardware, it's the software. And so DJI are now saying that they're going to have a government edition of software. Whoop-de-doo. They're still making the software. And anytime that you've got someone making some software, you don't know what it does unless you've read every line of code, you understand what it does, and then can you prove that that same source code translated all the way into what went on to that bird?
Yeah, like you know better than I do that even with like no limit drones and things, there's activation, unlock, and there are certain things that that the community is already doing. That if the government really wanted to, they could be using these drones and the hardware technology with the basic software, and codes they have there. But if they really wanted to, they could stop that. It's more of a part of this war, I suppose you could say.
It's a trade war. It's a trade war. And here's what I would love to see happen. The way you fix this, and I had this chat on someone else's channel the other day, DJI will never totally open source the software that's on their bird. I acknowledge that. But
I was surprised when they released the API.
True. Well, they needed to do that. They couldn't do everything that everyone wanted to do. But I think if they open sourced some components of their operating system, the module that talks to the radio, for example, and they let you go and load that piece of software onto a DJI drone, then that means that that a government agency could build their own encryption or whatever it is. That data link layer, as soon as you give control to that, then there are ways that you can secure it beyond what DJI can think of. And I think that's where it needs to go.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Like even just the civilian population, it's been mentioned to me a few times, just by different people, that in an event of a crisis or something like that, their take on it is that DJI could ground all of their aircraft worldwide if they wanted to. So basically,
absolutely,
that's always been in the back of my mind, and I'm very careful on what I do. And I do use software from NoLimitDronez. One of the releases that they made recently, which was a free helper, which I think you've spoken about on one of the last episodes. But yeah, it's just it's a whole different kettle of fish when you talk about privacy and this data and what they allow and don't allow.
Yeah. So NoLimitDronez, again, one of our supporters. Want to encourage you to go and check them out, and we'll talk a little bit more about them later. Again, a reminder,
that's great.
NoLimitDronez.com, do a social share of that. If one of the moderators could repost that link, that would be absolutely awesome. But now it's time to get stuck into the news. And our first story today, North Dakota Department of Transportation has received a 4-year waiver from the Federal Aviation Administration to fly drones over people beginning this week. The drones that are going to be used as part of this experiment is the DJI Mavic 2 series, equipped with a Para-Zero Safe Air parachute recovery system. The Northern Plains UAS testing site in Grand Forks completed the third-party safety validation for the parachute. The drones will do normal Department of Transport duties, such as inspecting roads, bridges, and acting as a first responder to emergencies. It looks interesting.
Yeah, it's I love the way they get the exemption straight away. But
Yeah, I think the key is their parachute system. They've obviously done some certification and testing with that Para-Zero. I think we featured them once before, probably about 6 months ago.
I've been looking at the parachute systems. As far as I'm aware over here, I think you can get as close to 6 meters with the system and, the authorization approval with your ARN through CASA.
I don't think it was 6. I think it was 15. I didn't know it was down to 6.
Okay.
But I could be wrong. I haven't looked at that because it's not one of the things that I'm regularly needing to do. But yeah.
Yep. No, I appreciate the information. The last piece I was reading may have been not from Australia, so I apologise.
That's all right. That's all right. We all here to live and learn. So our second story today, speaking of interesting regulations, this clip shows an 18-wheeler cruising on a Florida highway without a driver. There's a company in Orlando that's testing a way to move unmanned semi-trailers using long distances using drone technology. Now, sure, we talk about flying drones, but at the end of the day, a truck in a semi-autonomous and eventually an autonomous way, they're just drones that happen to not go up. I reckon this is pretty cool.
It's amazing technology. It definitely is amazing technology, but I think the word drone is overused or being overused.
Yeah, maybe. But at the end of the day, what are we going to call that category of stuff? Remotely controlled or remotely piloted stuff or autonomous things. I don't know. I don't think there's a good collective noun to talk about that category of stuff yet, but maybe that'll come in time. By the way, to my friend Mr. Artco, I don't know if you're pressing any magic buttons in the background, but if you are, they're not coming up on the screen at the moment. So apologies for anyone if your chat messages are not coming up. But let's move on to our next story now. The next one, my subtitle for this one is Kamikaze Boom. Kalashnikov has introduced their next-gen kamikaze drone. They've shown their latest surveillance and attack drone, and they're using those systems to play around. They can autonomously locate and attack their targets that they're looking for. Now, this is at a particular show where they're showing off some other bits and pieces and toys other than just that one piece of equipment, but just thought I'd put that up there. But they're certainly having a lot of fun with their toys as well. There we go. We got some titles coming as well. But certainly the use of drones in the military, we had on Ken's show yesterday, we had a guest that we had here a little while ago. We had the Lieutenant Colonel Kieran Joyce from the Australian Army and their use of the drones. It is certainly a booming marketplace in the military for some of this technology.
What was it? The Black Hornet that he was holding? Is that what
it was? It was.
Now, did they mention the fact what those things are worth? I'm
he
sure
didn't mention it. He didn't mention it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it? I think it was 80,000, but it may have been 30.
No, hang on. Gizmo suggested that the overall package, which includes 2 drones, is priced at 195,000, while Security Affairs suggest 80,000 for the pair. So for 2 drones, between 80 to 200k, just about. So depending on who you believe.
Yeah, for defense, it's completely justified.
Yeah, look, incredible. I think, it's an incredible use of the technology, and I love the size of it. I would love to get my hands piloting one of those. I'll have to go and contact him and see if I can have a face-to-face meetup one day and give that little thing a try. Speaking of small things, that was a good transition. Flathead Valley has the only mosquito-controlled drone system in the state, and it's being used to survey land for bodies of water that house mosquito larvae. They can then take preventative measures to control the mosquito season using the technology. They plan on basically using that as another form of treatment equipment. They first go out and do the survey, and if there's larvae present, they go and take care of it. It's also using other technology that similar to Google Maps, but they're using other equipment to go and detect the type of water, the temperature, and all of those kind of things to work out where the mosquitoes are at. That's cool.
That's really cool.
Don't worry. worry if you see this drone flying around in the sky. It has special technology to detect and repel mosquitoes.
We plan on basically using that as we would any other form of treatment equipment. We first go out and do a survey to see whether mosquito larvae are present in standing water habitat.
Jake Rubo is talking about this brand new mosquito-controlled drone. So far this year, mosquito activity looks low.
We haven't had the extensive flooding, so we've really been able to target our efforts and keep them under control in most places.
And that's where the drone comes in. Using technology similar to Google Maps, Rubo flies this drone checking for mosquito larvae. If detected, a pesticide safe for humans and the environment is sprayed, keeping mosquito populations at bay. While mosquitoes can be annoying, Rubo reminds people that they do have their place in nature.
They serve as a food source for a lot of other insects, obviously frogs, birds, bats, things like that. They can serve as pollinators.
Don't be surprised if you see the drone flying overhead. However, there are strict guidelines. The drone abides by FAA rules and can't fly over your property without your permission. If you're concerned about mosquito bites, Rubo suggests wearing long sleeves and pants, as well as mosquito repellent clothing. In Kalispell, RNCU.
So first interesting thing there I want to talk about, they said they can't fly over your property. Let's put the mosquitoes and the tech aside. FAA rules that drones can't fly over your property. There's, I'm sure, a number of Americans in the chat room at the moment, and I didn't think that was the case. If any of the Yankees out there want to go and correct that, is that correct? Are you allowed to fly over someone else's property using a drone in the US? Yes or no? But anyway, that's a little aside. But really cool technology. Going and detecting the areas where they breed, finding them, taking care of them. So really good.
Look, even just to see that the drone's used actually just to spray citronella or something up here. Where I am, it's like Mission Beach, a lot of tropical beaches, and the mosquitoes up here are incredible. Now, if the way they do it is they'll wear their backpack, and when people are camping or that, it can be overpowering for a little while. If they could spray from up top smaller amounts, in smaller sprays with a drone, I think that would be a move forward, using a drone for another good use.
Yeah. I'm just watching over here. There's comments that people can fly over property in the US, and it's interesting that in a story that is coming from a local TV station over there, they're saying, oh, it's the FAA rules, you can't fly over property, and, all of this panic about drones that we get. But anyway, just thought I'd point that out.
Yeah, privacy comes into it. That's anything I can think of. But, anybody that's watching your show or a similar show, they take all these things into consideration. So
Yeah. Speaking of privacy, just a side comment again, there's laws in Australia are such that there was a court ruling many years ago, and I can't remember if it was a TV station or a radio station that wanted to film, I can't even remember the sporting event, it might have been a tennis court or something like that, and do a radio call. And the price that the sports venue was trying to charge was too high. So they went to the hotel right next door and got a room on the top floor and got the binoculars out and did the radio call. And they went to court over the thing. The venue went to court, and the judge ruled, sir, if you would like to prevent this from happening, build a bigger fence.
Well, that's it. We've got the V8s coming up here soon in Townsville, which is about 3 hours away from me, and I'm sure there's going to be some drones in the paper that have been trying to get access, because the tickets are an arm and a leg, but part and parcel of technology, I suppose.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on to our next story. This is a brief story about a train derailment. At least 22 cars derailed on Wednesday morning, and a drone captured aerial footage of the stunning wreckage. The train, the interesting part, was carrying bombs and grenades and vegetable oil. I don't know who in their right mind thought that was a good combination to put together, but I'm just imagining the exploding vegetable oil going everywhere.
Wow. What a mess.
Yeah. Look, just an interesting little use of a drone to go and capture that scene, but it's funny, the story on what it was about in the first place.
It's carrying.
Elevate. So we've all heard about flying cars. So CASA is now gearing up to tackle their new challenge. Uber has announced Melbourne will be the first location outside of the United States for aerial ride-sharing trials in a new electrically powered vertical takeoff aircraft. CASA has held a number of meetings with Uber, and they're going to set out the relevant safety and regulatory requirements. Operating a drone in an emergency... Oops, that's the next story. Regulatory requirements. Sorry, I kept reading from my notes of the next one, but there we go. So let's just watch this. Now, this obviously is not real. It's a rendering. I like the Seat A2, I think it was. Now, the interesting thing, if you dig into the story a little bit more, while we see all of these pretty looking things at the moment, they don't actually have an aircraft selected yet.
Yeah, they're all dreams.
They are dreams, but here's the good thing. CASA is thinking forward and saying, how do we regulate this thing? What is the framework we're going to have to put around it to make it actually happen? So I think that's good, and that's forward thinking. And CASA making that announcement is a good positive thing.
It is.
Okay, we'll leave that video there. We don't need to look at the child colouring in. So our last story today, we've got one more, which is operating a drone in emergency situations such as bushfires, floods, traffic accidents and other events can represent a safety risk to manned aircraft. It can also disrupt emergency services. While it may be tempting to capture footage, it might also not be safe to operate your drone, and you might be breaking drone safety rules. Let's have a look.
It's bushfire season, and devoted firefighters put themselves on the line to protect our homes and lives. These local heroes depend on water bombing and aerial support to do their jobs. If you fly your drone anywhere near a fire, you're not only a fool, but a serious threat, and the penalties are severe. So fly responsibly and keep your drone away from the emergency services. Because if you fly, they can't.
Yeah, so this was a short little video put out by CASA, and you know, I was looking at the video and thinking, why are they putting out something at this time of year about bushfire season? And then I Googled it, and apparently it is the beginning of bushfire season in the middle of winter. There are some fires going off in different parts of Australia at the moment. You know, we are known as the land of floods, but also being a very dry country with drought at the same time. You're up in Queensland. You got some rain up there at the moment, or?
Mate, it's rained all year. It hasn't stopped. It's been we had 2 days of sun last week, and again it's raining. It hasn't stopped. I've been here 15 years now. Originally from Sydney, went through Ash Wednesday and all of that down there. And the only fires I see up here are controlled cane burning. You know, trying to get the land prepped for another season.
Yeah, but like I said, I did actually Google it last night when I saw this report from CASA and some fires happening elsewhere in the country. So from that perspective, good that CASA is going and educating. And I think we're seeing a lot coming out from CASA at the moment, and it's probably because we're about to be in this situation with drone registration and regulation, all that kind of stuff. They're trying to raise up their presence, and I think that's a good thing, and also letting people know about fire and safety.
Look, they've always been forward thinking and been ahead. Typically of other places with laws. I think it was yesterday on Ken's show, the guy from from that drone league that was part of the military or the army. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Lieutenant Colonel Kieran Joyce.
Yep. He was talking about the fact that since the early 1990s, we've had laws for aerial unmanned vehicles. So, you know, they have been ahead of it really in terms of us and our hobby decades. They're only just setting up a different framework now just because of all the hurdles that we need to get over as a new industry, I suppose.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. Before we do end the news and go into our guest segment, when today our guest is also our temporary fill-in co-host, the video at the top of the list on that screen over there is the one that we've got to play. Let's just quickly play this clip.
Kenny, you're fantastic, haha, Kenny. Kenny, you're a classic, haha, Kenny. We hadn't seen you fly before, now we have it once more. Ready, you'll show you the door, the drone lover's gone. Oh, we love you, Kenny, have you crushed it, aha, Kenny. Kenny, have you smashed it, aha, Kenny. With a gamepad in your hand, you look like an angry man. Karma Pirates say they're good, they're your biggest fans. Oh, we love you, Kenny.
Karma.
This was the problem.
It's not a problem anymore.
I couldn't resist playing that, and especially playing it when it's my wife that's pushing the play button over there. She's chuckling in the background. Yeah, look, sorry, what?
It makes me giggle, that man.
Yeah, he's a great guy. And what's this business with Spike here saying, my ears? And maybe a Kevin Wilson remix. That would be funny. Yeah, we could have some fun looking at that. Yeah, we had some fun with that song, and it was good seeing Ken's reaction with it on the weekend as well. So that was nice. Or should I say on Friday, our time. Moving on. So now this is the place where we would normally cut over to our guest, but since our guest is our co-host, we can still do the fancy slide. Except the slide still says Coldflake. Oh. Coldflake was meant to be here, but we've got you instead. Tell me about your first aviation experience. And by the way, if you could try and reposition your camera to move your head up a little bit, because sometimes little chat boxes, yeah, there we go. That'll do it. That way we don't cover you up whenever someone says something. Yeah.
Well, gee, that's going back. Control line at a field in Sydney in Marsfield. Built my own plane, little Cox 049 engine, and just started going from there, really, and been into planes, RC, helicopters, cars, everything you can think of. I'm 43 soon, in another month, and I don't think I'll ever grow up in terms of toys.
Yeah. So let's just pause there. And the word control line, I know what it is, but not everyone who's flying these days is necessarily going to know what it is. Briefly explain.
It's basically you've got your plane, which is very similar to remote control planes. It's got ailerons and a rudder on it, and you've got two very thin metal lines which come off it, and it has a handle like a kite, and basically you go up and down like this, going in circles. The idea is to concentrate on the actual plane itself and nothing else, and you can stand there for a good 5 minutes going around in circles without getting dizzy. And it was just a cheap way of getting into planes. I love them. I grew up underneath the flight path in Sydney, and just have been fascinated with aircraft and simulation. Most of my younger and adult life, but the last few years, drones have really turned into a big passion.
Yeah. So you mentioned the S word, simulation, and we've spoken about this offline a little bit.
Yep.
Tell me what your fly simulator was.
Well, when I was flying, regrettably, my simulator's been pulled apart. I had a 4-screen setup downstairs. Basically, you'd walk into a cockpit, and I built a 737 throttle quadrant and had a Logitech yoke. And with Arduino, I built all of my panels. My just all the upper panels and stuff, and all my knobs and things were all 3D printed. I've actually got the printer going in the background at the moment, printing something. So anything I needed was available online. If it wasn't online, designed it in CAD software. I love flying the 737. Always will. Always, if I get a chance, it's just a big passion of mine. It's just a big, beautiful bird. Played with.
And can I ask? Can I ask, have you flown any general or commercial aviation, or has it been simulators and drones only?
Look, I've been coming to and from Queensland basically really since I was 5. I used to fly up here over Christmas. So I've been on A320s, 737s. I went to Thailand, Singapore. So
I'm talking piloting. Have you?
Oh God, no. That's a dream of mine. Unfortunately, the one skill which misses me, apart from live television, would be my mathematics. And that's a really, really big requirement. When you're looking at commercial aviation, and unfortunately, it just wasn't something that was in my reach.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the simulator. And there's something you've got for show and tell.
There is. You're actually going to have to give me a second, because when I spoke to you about it, I actually never left the room while we were getting ready. Do you want me to quickly grab it?
I'll tell you what. Let's get it later. We'll sure. Continue with later on in the show. We got some videos, and we can give you some time to go fetch it later.
No problem.
What about that blue thing you were showing us before, just in terms of some printing?
Look, what I've got here, it's a little bit rudimentary at the moment, but it's a drop system for your drone. Now, basically you can see here that I've just got a really simple design. It's actually off. I've got to get used to the camera being opposite, like with the drone. Okay, so basically I've printed it on my printer, and there's just a servo here with a mechanism, and what happens is it releases and drops. So it's holding that at the moment, and if I just grab my controller, or I'll set something very different up, it just releases. And you can basically reload it. Because where I live, which is close to Mission Beach, and that the reef's off here, and a lot of people, I feel, may be interested in having their line taken out the VOS on the day, which is pushing it's probably 500 meters, but I will be looking into that and see whether I can get exceptions when and if I do it commercially. Through the ARN. I'm sure there can be exceptions when flying over water, especially, unpopulated water. So yeah. I'll see what's possible. But if people want to build something like this, I'll just unplug it and bring it closer again. If people want to build something like this, they can just grab the actual CAD files off thingiverse.com. I think it was just drop system. That's a cover that actually just goes onto it. And, you could put 20 or 30 of these probably take 3 or 4 minutes each, the clips, and I'm gonna put it on the Inspire when it arrives, if it arrives, and go from there. But I have I've got the Mavic over here, and I actually had to fix the gimbal on this. The ribbon cable inside of the camera here that started just going crazy, and through troubleshooting it, I discovered the ribbon cable was faulty. Ordered a new one and put the new ribbon cable in. But what happens is when these come down, sometimes is they'll land in heavier grass up here. And the heavier grass with the gimbal overload, if you're not watching your screen, it can actually burn one of those small tracks that's in that ribbon cable.
Okay.
As far as I can tell, I may be completely wrong, and it's just come down to where in it moving. But this particular Mavic only had 30 hours on it when that problem happened, and these are 3D 3D printed legs.
Yeah.
And there's
So look, yeah, lots of fun with some of your 3D printing there. I would suggest if you can, a little bit later when we've got some other videos coming up, go and put a couple of links to some of those or to your own channel and let people know, hey, this is some of the fun that I'm playing with.
I don't actually have anything on, but I definitely will post some links for you, mate.
Sure. So what we might do now, we're going to go to FPV Korner. And we'll have a look at that. While that's happening, if you want to go and get your show and tell.
Great. Sure.
And we'll be back shortly. Now, like every week, I just want to remind people that all of these videos, I would suggest go and have a look in the description. Check out the creators' channels. The first one is from Floating Sundays, Morning Dew in Brisbane, Australia. And this one is described as a chilled flight through one of Brisbane's riverside parks. And like always, if you've got any footage you'd like to share, please by all means send it to upload@gregkuhnert.com, or you can also put it in Dronebook and I'll probably see it in there as well. So would you describe yourself? Oh, here we go. I'll come back to you in a second. The second video we've got is from Juzz70, and this one's titled FPV Daydreaming. And the comments are, yeah, I know that spot again, but I love it though. Such a sweet spot, all to myself and only 5 minutes from home. And some of the gear that he's using, Impulse RC Reverb, Freestyle Frame, and so on and so on. Let me ask, do you do any FPV flying yourself?
I don't know. It's something I'd love to get into. I'm spending too much money on the DJI gear. It's hard to walk past. It's got a little bit of spare money. It'll be the next thing I do is some macro.
Yeah. I remember seeing once a mod on firmware on a Mavic, and there was someone doing some what appeared to be acro flying with a Mavic. So I'll have to ask Coldflake when I finally get him on here to go and have a look and see if NoLimitDronez can do that.
I have used their software and just some other ways, just through configuration files, of changing, max speed and velocities and things like that. You can also change, I think it is with the Mavic, to a fixed wing mode, which it does appear, besides the upside down and the vertical stuff, that you are actually flying semi-FPV type environment.
Yeah. So again, please do go and check out the description. Every week we put the links to the channels where all of our material comes from. Jump in there and check out those channels and show them some love as well. Okay, and we reach the end of our FPV section for today. I've got something interesting coming up in just a moment that everyone who's watching, I'm about to give you all a test. Okay, I hope you're ready, and you've got to be very, very observant. Now, there's no prizes for the test, but I'd be curious who is the people who would win the challenge. Anyway, moving on from that, let's just have a quick look at your show and tell.
Okay, well, it's all built from scratch and plans. Is basically, you can see it here. I'll try and show it to you. That's
My
like
wife,
over there, you got your pipes and everything.
yeah, my wife is nodding at it knowingly as if she knows what a 737 throttle quadrant. But here's the thing that she doesn't know. He's actually offered to give this to me for part of my flight simming fun that's coming up. But I told him I'd have to.
Reverse thrusters.
Yeah, very, very nice.
And that's all 3D printed knobs and stuff, and it's got Thrustmaster internals here. I was using Arduino, but I was having some problems with a little bit of jittering and stuff, and I do go to the dump recycling, electronic recycling bins often, because you'll be amazed at what people throw out. I tell you. And I've got some Thrustmaster yokes, and the internals of them are in it. And I'll just give you a closer look quickly. It's heavy as. That's basically just some of, and that's just for your speed brakes, that one there.
Yeah.
And it's got all the switches where they're supposed to be. You've actually got the switches on.
So was there a particular website that you went to get the plans for all of this, or where did you source all that from?
You can get very similar to what I've built in plans, which should just be available directly on Google if you just typed in, sim throttle quadrant. And you can get plans which you can cut out. But what I did was I found those to be a little bit not to scale. So I upped them a little bit and modified the end plate where the speed brake is, and just added a few more sheets of MDF basically to replicate the width correctly. And I think once it's covered, and you've got a pedestal and the elevator pitch control, which is the big wheel that goes on the side.
Yeah.
It's going to look really snazzy. It's just, unfortunately, my situation's changed, and the last thing I want to do is see it wasted. That's why I offered it up. I heard you guys talking about, all your simulated
getting into
stuff.
Sims. Yeah, I'd love to one day do a flight with yourself over the network and have some fun. But
yeah, well, I've got a computer which is still quick enough, but I'm a little bit sad that I ended up pulling that simulator apart, because it would have been great to show you guys on the channel. But there's always next time.
Yeah, absolutely. What are you going to build next time? You're going to build a shuttle cockpit?
No, my when I get around to it, my next project I think is going to be another drone. But I'd like to build if I'm going to go acro or that way, I want to build a little FPV, because I've got the printer here. I'll go that avenue. So if I break it, I can just print it. So that's one advantage to having the printer handy. Big passion of mine. So the two go hand in hand sometimes, which is great.
Okay. Next, I'm going to move us into a new direction. We're just going to move into a little bit of a feature, and this is some material that came from CASA. about human factors. Now, for those people that might regularly watch, Air Crash Investigation or some of those kind of shows, there are different scenarios where the root cause turns out to be human factors. And it could be sleep, it could be alcohol, it could be just some things about the way the human brain works. And I got a little bit of a competition here today. There's no prize for this. We got 3 videos. I'm going to play them one at a time and just watch, and you have a task and they'll explain what you need to do. Let's go.
Can you count how many times the soccer ball is passed between the players with the white jumpers? Did you count 15 passes? If you did, congratulations. But did you see the helicopter pilot? And the red toolbox? Have another look.
Have a look at that guy dancing in the middle of the screen there.
Also, one of the players
Unbelievable.
walks out.
So over the right in the back there, one of them just walks out and bails out. So I'm curious in the chat, how many people in the chat room actually noticed the helicopter pilot dancing in the middle of the screen and the toolbox and the person walking out in the middle of the game disappearing? It'd be interesting to have a look. While we're waiting for the answers to that one, we've got the second video. And again, this is part of a program by CASA about human factors. So some really good stuff. I'd encourage you. I'll put a link in there shortly in the chat room. But let's have a look at the second video while we wait for some answers.
How many different components can you identify on the workbench during this conversation between a pilot and engineer?
Some parts just wear out.
How long do they normally last?
A long time with the correct maintenance, but some bits get replaced when they reach their service life.
Notice we're
about
talking
wear
about
and
different
care.
components here.
Time, data,
So
and good maintenance.
maybe
What are
they'll
some
have the
things I
same
can
one
do?
twice or
Be
something like
thorough
that.
with your inspections.
Always am. But you could show me how to be better.
Fill out the maintenance releases with enough detail to help with troubleshooting. And make sure they're legible and not a chicken scroll. You guys write like doctors.
Okay, all right, I got it. Write clearly, good dailies, and detail.
It's my livelihood, but it's your life.
If you counted 10 different components on the bench in the foreground, well done. But watch again for all the other changes.
Some parts just wear out.
How long do they normally last?
A long time with the correct maintenance, but some bits get replaced when they reach the end of their service life.
It's about wear and care.
Time, data, and good maintenance.
What are some things I can do?
Be thorough with your inspections.
Always am. But you could show me how to be better.
Fill out the maintenance releases with enough detail to help with troubleshooting. And make sure they're legible and not a chicken scroll. You guys write like doctors.
Okay, all right, I got it. Write clearly, good dailies, and detail.
It's my livelihood, but it's your life.
So, lots of changes again. Okay, so now that we've seen that they're doing some tricks and the human brain can focus on certain things and your brain is focusing on a task, and this is important when you're flying, you're very task-oriented, focusing on whatever it might be, that you can be totally blind to something else that is totally within your field of vision. So lots of changes there, and I'd be curious. Oh man, I missed it all, says iSpike. There's so much stuff happening there. So here's the challenge. Now that you know what the trick is, we've got one more video and they're going to change some stuff in the background. And the challenge is, how many tricks, how many changes are they going to do?
Listen closely to the following conversation between an impatient pilot and an easygoing engineer.
1 sec. Mate, what's going on? I thought the plane was ready.
She'll be ready when she's ready, mate.
What does that mean? I've got passengers here.
Hey, it means what it means. You can't rush these things. The safety of you and your passengers should be a priority. Like Mike said, it'll get done.
It'll get done. Heard all that before.
I've got to be in Dubbo for a funeral.
An amateur trapeze artist. I have to perform tonight.
So the flight's been delayed and no one's happy. But did you notice all the changes?
Believe it or not, there are over 18 changes in this scene. Did you see them all?
Be a priority. Like Mike said, it'll get done.
It'll get done.
So moving ladders, suitcases, all sorts of other things. 18 things changed in there, and I'd be very surprised if anyone saw more than a couple of them, if that. I saw the suitcases, but I didn't see the others. But I guess the message here, human factors. So I'm going to go and get the link. I'm going to post it in the chat room in a couple of moments and encourage people to go and have a look at that. While it's focused more on traditional general and commercial aviation, I think there's a lot of value of this kind of stuff for drone pilots as well.
I do see it. Their acting was
well. Yeah. Okay. So we haven't got great actors, but either way, I've pasted that into the background there. So I encourage you to go and check that out. So what have we got next? We've got a competition. Now we've got a giveaway. I mentioned before that to be eligible to win, you have to do only one thing. And that is our new sponsor who's helping us out with the prize today. This is NoLimitDronez. You need to post on Facebook or Twitter or whatever social media platform. It doesn't matter, your choice, NoLimitDronez.com. And someone could post that URL in the chat for me again and get ready for that to happen. But before we have that happen, as well as posting that link, you've got one other thing that you need to do, and I'm going to have a little trial run in just a few moments. Now we're going to put something on the screen right now. Okay, so we've got on the screen a number being picked at random. The number that's being picked is a number between 1 and 100. So your task in a couple of moments, you must have already put a social post about No Limit Drones, and if you have, you can enter the competition. And the first person to pick the number, let's clear that first one off the screen for the moment. And it is totally random, so ignore that. The first person to pick the number that comes up in the screen and type it in chat wins the competition today. It's that simple. So, are we ready? 3, 2, 1, here we go. Start typing in numbers. Go. And we'll put that on the screen right now. Here we go. Type in a number. Come on, between 1 and 100. I know there's some lag here, but I'm waiting for the chat to go. 37. No. Julio Morales, 7. Zebmeet, 7. 21. 2. 13. 35. Now, with the lag that's happening in the chat, you will see the number on the screen right now. So it's just really simple. The first person to type in that number is the winner. Now, I can't see that. Is that 68?
Correct.
Yep. So I'm looking in the chat to see the first person to type in 68. That's all you need to do now.
I can't even see chat.
There we are. iSpike. Oh, but iSpike, you've already won this prize. You can't win again. I'm going to have to, the decision of the judges is final, and we're going to have to give that to Steve Carpenter. And for some reason, my titles are going all over the place at the moment, but I'll just get rid of that. There we go. You can put that shot back.
Fantastic prize.
Yeah, look, No Limit Drones is absolutely awesome. Steve Carpenter, do me a favour, after the show today, send me an email. Oh, hang on. I'm just reading back, and I think I got that in the wrong order. Let me just, the judge's decision is final and all of that. I want to make sure I got the right person. So the first person, it wasn't Steve Carpenter at all. It was the grumpy vlogger. So congratulations, Mr. Grumps. Apologies, Steve Carpenter, but I'm going to give away another one next week. But Grumps, I'm going to have to get you to post into the chat right now. Show me the link where you're eligible to enter. I need to see that Facebook link. And if you don't post it, we'll do another draw in a couple of minutes and give it away again. So go for it, Mr. Grumpy. Show me your Twitter link that you posted or your Facebook link about No Limit Drones. While we're waiting for you to do that, we're going to get into the last part of today's show. And like always, Explore Australia, it's a part of the show that people love every week and they hang out to the end of the show. So let's do that now. Now, like always, as I said with the FPV Korner, encourage you very, very strongly. Go in to the description for the video. Go and check out the links to these channels. Tell them you saw them on Ausby Drone. This first one, Massive Road Trains by GM16V149 is the name of the channel. I don't know where that name came from, but Massive Road Trains in Australia's northwest and the 90-mile straight. This is his truck. Starting up with an air start, which we heard at the beginning there, that noise, near Cobar, New South Wales, with a load of steel. 195-tonne super quad road train leaving Oski Roadhouse in the Pilbara in northwest WA. Also the Caguana Roadhouse and 90 Mile Straight WA. Drone in this one, it's a Mavic Pro being used to shoot this. Our second one today comes from, I don't know if I'm going to be able to say this, Sarjan Dragutinovic. Beautiful beach flats from Aerial Australia, he calls it, in 4K. Beautiful deserted beaches found in French Island in Victoria, Australia, next to Phillip Island. Makes for a great opportunity to film the flats when the tide is out and capture the magnificent reflections from the sun. Enjoy. It's one of my favourite kind of things to do when I'm out with the drone is to film some reflections. Our third one today comes from Simon Cooper. Title of this one, funnily enough, Flying Low Over Water, and also a koala and some ducks. Flying with a DJI Spark. Taken along the linear park River Torrens at Paradise and Highbury, South Australia. The first piece of footage was photobombed by two ducks, as he says, but during the second piece of the footage he came across a koala sleeping in a gum tree very close to the ground. So please do check out Simon Cooper 8, his YouTube channel. Gotta love the reflections.
Oh, beautiful.
Our next one, Matt North. He's been a regular here. Cleveland Lighthouse. Great day out flying at Cleveland. I've never heard of Cleveland in Australia, but I'll take his word for it. Cleveland in Queensland. Awesome spot if you're ever in the area. Drop in and have a coffee. So he's given the invite up. Next time we go up north, I'll definitely look him up. Love those vertical look down shots on the lighthouse there. So you're wanting to get...
Beautiful place.
Yeah. So you're wanting to get an Inspire and you've ordered one, but you're having some fun with that process. I'll continue that thought in just a moment though. So Ferg Taz. Oh, the drone way. I think I missed one out. So apologies, I don't have that one in my notes here, so we'll just let this play out. So you're wanting to get an Inspire. What made you pick that particular model? What do you want to do with it?
Look, just been able to upgrade with the X5 and thermal, because I'm looking at, I've worked with myself for a long time. My situation's changed, and that's why I'm looking at the commercial license on that. I could have spent the same money on a Phantom 4 Pro with a screen included, because the one I was looking at from a retailer which has refurbished new goods. I tested it out and purchased a Spark. It arrived, it's brand new. Had a problem, it didn't arrive with a remote. Spoke to them because they've got no number. Ended up sending me a brand new remote, so I trusted them. And basically it's been a week, and Australia Post say that they have got the tracking information for it, which has been issued, but the supplier itself actually hasn't, when they've gone to pick up all the items, hasn't provided it, and that hasn't been scanned in. So I'm trying to talk to this mob, and I'm just hoping that it resolves itself soon, because I'm really looking forward to getting it. And I don't know why I chose it, to be honest. I just like it, have wanted one since they came out, and I couldn't let that price point go. It was just too cheap. $1,500.
So this was an Inspire 1 or an Inspire 2?
Inspire 1 version 2.
Yep.
I'll get another controller for it and keep playing with it. But I've got the Mavic, I've got the Spark. I do want a Phantom, but it was a toss-up between the two for me. I listened to what you said, but with these new regs coming in, regulations, who knows? It may just be $160, no matter of weight, under 7 kilos. I've heard a couple of different things. Who knows? I don't know. I hopefully can just keep moving forward with it. The drop system as well.
Just briefly, our last video here is from Ferg Taz. He's one of our regulars, definitely. Lake Mackenzie in Tasmania.
It's beautiful.
So we're coming up to the end of today's episode. Thank you everyone for watching. It's been good to catch up with someone new that I've been chatting to in the background. So lovely to chat to you on the show today. Lovely watching our incredible Explore Australia videos as always. Little bit of fun playing that song that we did for Ken. I'm sure my wife was chuckling in the background when I told her to cue that one up. I'm just going to jump over the chat and see. Yeah, look, it was all fun. I'm going to jump over to the chat, see if we've got any comments or questions. So, Grumpy Vlogger, let me see. Did you post a social link? Hey, how do I show the link to my tweets? How do we show the link to my tweets? Look, I'll chat to you after the show. I've got your details. So if I can see that tweet that was posted before you won, then you're a winner. If not, we'll have to give away 2 of them next week. Maybe. Actually, we've got another sponsor that I'm talking to as well. So next week we got something else coming up as well. So stay tuned for that as well.
Fantastic.
Okay, we've reached the end of our show. A couple of quick announcements. Number one, news. I want to thank Jeff Sills, as always, for helping to pull that together. It saves a lot of time and effort for me, having that done and just to be able to pull from the various stories that he collects in his newsfeed. So thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Greg Hilton, for his work in putting together Explore Australia and FPV Korner. Encourage you to go and check out that CASA Human Factors link that we put in before. And our last couple of quick announcements, as always, if you would like to send something in, upload at gregkuhnert.com. We'd love to share your videos and put them in there. Second thing, follow us on social media. You've got some links there. And finally, if you've got anything you'd love to send our way, there's an address for you, 5/127 Princess Highway, Sylvania, New South Wales, 2224. Now, I've got one last ask of everyone here, and I did ask it last week, and I'm going to specifically task you with it as my guest today. I want you to come up with 2 recommendations for a guest next time or the time after, whatever. 2 of them. We'll chat afterwards. We'll put them into this tool. But if I can get someone to log into ozbydrone.gregkuhnert.com. My producer had a piece of paper she was just sending to me there. Oh, yes. There's one thing that I should do. There's a special mention. Lloyd Mendenhall, thank you for helping me out with the lyrics to the Kenny song, especially the bit where you go and called him an angry man. It wasn't me. It really wasn't me. Anyway, it was all good. It was all fun. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, guys. Bye for now.
See you guys. Thank you.
And we sit here waiting for the magic button. It's coming.